thank you, Jenny. Let's begin July 14th, 2020 KDA meeting. First order of business is to approve the agenda. Approve. Approve by Commissioner Pavlik. Second by Commissioner Ady. Any additions or anything? If not, I'll ask question by roll call. Commissioner Ady? Yes. Commissioner Pavlik? Mr. Sully?
Yes.
Yes.
A lot of background noise. Sounds like people talking and people moving around.
Noted. If people can mute, if they're not listening, just please mute. Agenda passes 4-0. Second order is to approve the April 21st, 2020 minutes.
I'll move. Pavlik.
Moved by Commissioner Pavlik.
Second. Boy.
Second by Commissioner Skoye. Any questions about minutes? If not, I'll ask for a roll call. Commissioner Ady?
Yes.
Commissioner Pavlik? Skoye?
Aye.
And I'll vote yes. Minutes pass 4-0. Item number 3, accept the April through June paid invoice vendor report. And this is just an acceptance, is that correct, Jen?
That's correct. Yes, that's correct. You're just going to accept the vendor report, and these are claims that were paid in June 24th. Basically, they're second half appropriations or allocations, and which have been approved by the budget, or in the budget.
Okay.
I'll move on that, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Skoye?
Yes.
Have a second?
Robert. Oh, hold on. That was Kevin that made the motion.
Oh, sorry, guys. Okay. Commissioner Ady. Commissioner Skoye, second. Any questions about the financial report? If not, I'll call for the question. By roll call, Commissioner Ady.
Yes.
Commissioner Pavlik. Commissioner Pavlik. Commissioner Skoye.
Yes.
And I will vote yes, and we can come back to Commissioner Pavlik. We get him back here.
Yeah, it looks like Mr. Pavlik is muted right now. Carolyn, Wade, if you can hear me, I can try to unmute you from my end. Let me try that. Let's see. All right, see if you're unmuted now. Carol, Wade.
We have you with Mr. Pavlik?
We just, okay.
accept the April through June paid invoice vendor report. To you, Commissioner Pavlik.
Okay, you had an aye. Are we voting?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a yes.
Thank you. Moving on to item 4, accept the January through June financial report. Anything to add on that, Jen, or anything?
Sure. So, Mr. Chair, the financial report is presented budget versus actual. We have received revenues from our tax forfeited apportionment. We had budgeted $38,000, received a little bit more, $38,016. Everything else is exactly in line with what is budgeted in terms of expenditures. I do want to make one note that under miscellaneous projects, we had budgeted, we have $5,000 remaining because ARDC is no longer asking for the funding for the joint city project. I think it was a trail that they were going to do. Anyways, they're going to fund that because they have received some additional funding for the COVID. So we do have that $5,000 remaining in the budget that will not be used. However, we were budgeting to use some fund reserves. So my recommendation, unless something happens, would be to just leave that as unspent funds. My only other concern in terms of the KDA, our revenue source, is from the IRRB grant funds, and that's tied to taconite tax. We had budgeted $170,000, and that may come in a little bit lower. So that is usually received in August sometime. So other than that, we're looking at fund balances. We currently have a fund balance of $137,609. We will receive those IRRB funds in August, and basically then all of our expenditures have been paid, so that will increase our fund balance back up to close to the balance that was in December, as of December 31st, which was about $300,000.
Yeah, go ahead.
Any questions on the financial report?
Oh, looks good.
Okay.
Looking for a motion to accept the January through June financial report.
I'll move Mr. Chair. 7.
Moved by Commissioner Eady.
Well, second, Wade.
Second by Commissioner Pavlik. Any other questions on that? Not, I'll call for the vote by roll call. Commissioner Eady?
Aye.
Pavlik?
Aye.
Commissioner Stoy?
Aye.
And I am a yes. Okay, item number 5, ratify payment of second half KDA budget allocations. Total allocations are $88,500. Pretty much the second half. Is that correct, Jen?
That's correct.
Looking for a motion to ratify those payments.
I'll move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Pavlik. Second by Commissioner Eady. Any questions on the allocations? If not, I'll ask for the vote by roll call. Commissioner Eady?
Aye.
Commissioner? Aye. Commissioner Scott?
Aye.
I am an aye. Item 6, consider Minnesota Rural Broadband membership. Do we have someone on to help explain that? part of the KTI group that's been meeting, a local technology group. Kind of looking for some membership to get a seat at the table for the Minnesota coalition. Everybody knows that broadband is a big thing, and there's lots of state funding available for broadband. We would be one of a few counties sitting on here. There's lots of EDAs and development authorities and stuff that are on this here, but it's a consideration for us to, kind of have somebody, keep track of this and these type of things if we can. So, they are looking for an effort to support continued efforts to bring broadband access to all residents in Koochiching County. So it's encouraging that Koochiching Development Authority to apply for membership to the Minnesota Rural Broadband Coalition, governing member, and to officially adopt the Minnesota Broadband Vision. MRB governing members can serve on the board of directors and are eligible to serve on the executive committee, thereby increasing the opportunity to actively engage in the efforts to support broadband efforts through the active participation. The minimum pledge is $500 with higher amounts welcome. KTI will gladly represent KDA if the board chooses to approve this membership application and wishes to make that appointment. Adoption of the Minnesota Broadband Vision publicly declares Koochiching County as supportive of the statewide effort to bring broadband access to all Minnesotans and acknowledges it as essential for economic development.
Commissioner Schulboom? This is Commissioner Skoy. You said the amount for that is $500?
It is.
I make a motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Skoy.
I'll second that for discussion.
Second by Commissioner Eady. Any questions on this?
Yeah. That $500, is that an annual amount?
I believe it is an annual amount, and then that would give someone from KTI, the technology group, a seat at the table with the governing body, so we could get to participate in some decisions, of broadband and stuff for the rural areas.
Okay, and you sit on the KTI right now, right?
Commissioner Skoy and myself, yes.
Oh, Skoy's on there also, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Any other questions? If not, I'll ask for the vote by roll call. Commissioner Eady?
Yes.
Commissioner Pavlik?
Aye.
Commissioner Skoy?
Aye.
And I am an aye. It's 4-0. Item 7, other projects or business reports. Anybody got anything to report? If not, I'll ask for public comment. Any public comment? If not, I will adjourn the meeting.
Okay. I'll bring this meeting of the Koochiching County Board of Commissioners to order. This item is to approve the proposed agenda with additions and deletions. And I believe there was one of each, wasn't there? Mr. Chair, that's correct. We have an addition to approve to the payment of one half of the airport fund deficit balance as of June 30th, 2020 in the amount of $198,051.24. And then the deletion is item C5 under highway business, authorized advertising for bids for the angled parking Passat 20 in Rainier. Yeah, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
Move the minutes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, motion by Mr. Tobin.
Agenda, excuse me.
I have a second.
second by Commissioner Pavlik. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Pavlik?
Pavlik, aye.
Sobel?
Aye.
Troy?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. COVID-19 update. Kathy?
Yes, good morning. Currently, there are 22 cumulative cases in Koochiching County with one death. The total cases for the state of Minnesota are 42,772. Tests completed are 768,989. There were over 11,000 tests conducted just as of yesterday. The deaths for the state of Minnesota are at 1,504, and the number of deaths per day has significantly decreased over the last several weeks. The last days, there was only 2 deaths added to the total. Currently, there's 247 people hospitalized, and of those, 114 are in ICU. The age group of 20 to 29 continues to be the highest confirmed cases, almost 10,000 cases in that group, with the age 30 to 39 right behind them with about 8,000. Community spread remains the most likely method of exposure. People who are living in their homes and in the community are most likely to be infected and spreading the virus. There is a study that everybody is watching pretty closely that seems to indicate that people are infectious 2 days before they even exhibit any symptoms, so that would reinforce the importance of wearing masks and social distancing. Does anybody have any questions or anything else they'd like to hear about?
Most of the viruses, Kathy, are coming from those 2 things, right? Not wearing face masks and not social distancing.
Yeah, it's definitely the highest rate of infection is through community spread. Just people out in the community. There's a lot of people that are asymptomatic, but they can still spread it. So the face masks and the social distancing are key to controlling this.
I know they say by doing those 2 things, you can pretty much avoid the virus by body.
Yes.
Any questions like that? Okay, thank you. And Kathy, maybe you want to say thanks to our next topic, which is the county-wide mandatory testing. Do you want me to start with that, Jen, or do you?
Sure, go ahead. You're just a little bit hard to hear, Kevin. I'm not sure why, but you might need to go into your computer.
Maybe I need to sit up a little closer. Or...
Yeah, that might be better. Thank you.
Is that better? Can you hear me better?
I can.
Okay. I asked Jen I think it was last Thursday, to put this on the agenda. I had given it some thought, and then I received an email from a constituent, and they were asking about mandatory masks, and well, might as well do it now, to bite the bullet. But there are no counties in the state that have mandated the masks throughout the county. There are several county boards that have made county building mandatory masks. for employees, and there's a couple of them that have made mandatory masks for everyone entering the county building, employees and people coming off the street. So, personally, I think it's a good idea. We've got, one business in town that has made it mandatory masks for everyone. We've got grocery stores, employees are wearing mandatory masks. And, I feel they're wearing masks to protect the public. Why shouldn't the public why shouldn't they make mandatory masks for the public to protect the employees of those businesses? Any comments?
Well, if we're going to do anything, I would think it's a recommendation. If the county's going to try and make this a law or an ordinance, I don't even know we have the ability to do that. We'd have to check with the state. But we'd have to involve law enforcement. I mean, I can see the courts, which are behind by about a year now, trying to take all these cases of people who violated it by not wearing a mask. I think that just goes too far. But I think we could certainly strongly suggest that people do this so that more of an education issue than a law enforcement issue, I guess, is what I get down. But anyway, I just like that.
Yeah.
This is Commissioner Scoy. I really don't, and I agree with Wade. I don't think we have the authority to do it, and I don't know how it would be enforced. If businesses, which are privately owned by someone, if they want to have mandatory masks, that's fine. And if the buildings want to do it, that's their building. I don't think that's our responsibility to try to enforce something to that magnitude.
I did check with AMC last week also, and gave them the question of, do we have the authority to do that? And they weren't even sure. But they did say there's a chance that the governor possibly this week maybe doing an executive order not doing that. And but they weren't sure on that. I tried calling this morning yet to see if they had heard anything. And didn't get a call back yet.
I would support this strongly, encouraging the mask wearing. Just as the resolution, it looks really good. It's where you're real busy places where there's a bunch of people and things this year, and where you can't socially distance. And I think that is important. When you're back with people and in an area sharing space, things like that. I think it's a healthy consideration to protect other people. So. But I agree. I don't know that it would be mandated. You don't need them everywhere either. I don't believe that also. But I think just as it says in busy public spaces, I think it's important to do that.
Okay. Any other comments? Anything you'd like to say, Ben?
No, I do not have anything to add to the discussion. I will add that the courts are mandating that masks be worn within the court rooms. So anyone that's entering district court office that's on our second floor, it is mandated by courts that masks be worn. Most of those court meetings are still being held via Zoom. teleconference, but there are still some court cases where they're actually in district court.
Kathy, do you have anything you'd like to say?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Jason, go ahead.
I would move, Mr. Chair, to strongly encourage the Koochiching County resolution to strongly encourage base coverings in indoor areas accessible to the public.
And I will second.
Okay, and I've got a motion and a second, but that's not a mandate, right?
Not a mandate.
What's that?
Not a mandate, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes, would you read the motion back to me verbatim?
Yeah?
So you're looking to pass, you made a motion to adopt the resolution, that sample resolution that I provided?
Yes, what it would be Koochiching County resolution to strongly encourage base coverings in indoor areas accessible to the public.
And we can do it as a motion. It does not have to be a resolution. So you want to just do it as a motion?
Sure.
And you're okay with that, Commissioner Pavlik, as a second?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Okay, I'll call for the vote. Pavlik?
Aye, Mr. Chair.
Philbin?
Aye.
Troy?
Aye.
And I'm an aye.
Great.
Okay, guys.
Kevin, if I could, I'm not saying that you're boring, but can you see my dog behind me? Listening to you. He went right to sleep.
For a minute there, that's what we thought you were going to join us the dog. I had somebody else that joined us. This website, I should have had her ask if she wanted to say something earlier tonight. I forgot about it. Liz, are you still on?
Yes, I am, sir.
Okay, did you want to say anything?
Well, very briefly, I respectfully understand the legality involved in making any sort of mandate of mask wearing. However, as information is becoming available and as our local health service representative just indicated that the community transmission seems strongly to suggest it is through people that are not social distancing and are not wearing masks. As an individual and as a governing body, I think it is our responsibility to fully recognize the fact that any sort of inaction on our part, be it myself personally or a governing body, is only going to serve to spread the virus within our community. And it is our responsibility to stand up and say so. It is not a comfortable position, and it's going to get backlash. I know personally that our position has been looked at from a very skeptical view. However, none of us are immune from exposure. And in fact, my husband and I were just tested yesterday for the virus. I can almost guarantee that if we do not do something and do something quickly, everyone sitting in your meeting will be touched by this virus, either by hospitalization, which would result in sleepless nights and medical bills, or we are going to be experiencing death within our family or our friends. This is something that I strongly believe is not acceptable. And so I, for one, am willing to step up and take whatever flack that is required to protect my loved ones and also the four of you that are sitting in that meeting representing Koochiching County. And I think it's time that we do so by means other than strongly recommending, because people are going to look at that and they're going to say, well, that applies for Liz Forsyth. She's got pre-existing conditions. She's 77 years old, but that does not apply to me. And I don't want to take any more of the valuable time. I know that there are many things on your agenda to address, and they are all important. However, if we do not get a hold of COVID-19, anything else is going to be, it's not going to be important anymore. So, Mr. Adie, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to join your meeting. And Commissioners Skoy, Schoblum, and Pavlak, I thank you for your time in listening to my statement. And as I said, this is not going to go away. So thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Liz.
Yeah, thank you, Liz.
Okay. Approved June 23rd, 2020 minutes.
Move the minutes, Mr. Chair.
Second by Skoy. Second by Skoy.
Got a second by Commissioner Skoy. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay, thank you, Wade. Sobel.
Aye.
Skoy.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Great Northern Transmission Line construction wrap update. Jen, do we have anybody online from Great Northern?
Can you hear me all right? This is Kyle Larson.
Kyle Morrison?
Yep, KYLE.
Thank you, Kyle.
Okay.
Yep, I was the construction manager of one of them on the line here. We met with you guys numerous times, but it's been a while now, so we have energized the line as of June 1, 2020. The line is in service. Right now, no issues. Manitoba Hydro is putting down around 400 megawatts of power. Some days more, some less, but as far as that goes, we've made it through as a successful project. No infractions from environmental and nothing that, no public, I guess, interference along the way. It was the outreach early on was a good thing. A lot of help from the counties and a lot of good relationships gained and maintained through this. So I want to thank Koochiching County personally for working with us and always being a good partner. The roads were signed off, and everybody is happy with the condition that the project left the roads and lands to this point. I opened up the questions there. We have Jim Atkinson, who is our environmental manager, on as well. If you have any specific questions on land or environmental.
Kyle, this is Commissioner Adie. Was there a specific goal that you were hoping for the amount of power that you were going to be getting out of the plant?
Not so much a goal, but we have a contracted amount that we did put in, and that was, I believe, 375 megawatts.
is what we're committed to monthly, whether we use it or not. So, to say the least, we are using what we pay for. We're going to make sure of that.
Okay, well, that's good.
And the goal was that June 1 was the date we had to meet for all of our permitting requirements within Manitoba Hydro, who supplies hydropower from the north.
Okay.
No significant injuries. I guess I did not mention that in there. We had a large amount of people, about 485 people on at one time, and we've finished with a very, very good safety record. We had a couple of chipped teeth from people smiling. They liked working so much and hit themselves with a chain. But besides that, twisted knee, hernia, things like that come from a lot of normal work events.
All right. Any more questions for them? All right. Thank you, Kyle, for the update. And Jim, thank you.
You're very welcome. Thanks. And as always, everyone, if you have a question, we're not running away. We're here as a long-term partner and a long-term presence. So let us know if there's absolutely anything we can either help with or rectify if it's a problem.
All right. Thank you guys very much.
Thanks, Kyle. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you all.
Approved letter of support for Alexander Baker funding application.
Move, Mr. Chair.
We've got a motion by Commissioner Pavlik. Do I have a second?
A second, Mr. Chair.
And a second by Commissioner Schobel. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Pavlik?
Aye.
Schobel?
Aye.
Troy?
Aye.
And I am an aye. Thank you. Approve Minnesota lawful gambling, LG 217.
Move, Mr. Chair.
Got a motion by Commissioner Schobel.
Yes.
Do I have a second?
Aye.
Second by Commissioner Skoye. Thank you, Wayne. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, call for the motion. Pavlik?
Aye.
Schobel? Skoye?
Aye.
And I'm aye. CARES Act, grant program information, CETA and business development.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I'll go ahead and start this conversation. I think everyone's aware that the county received $1.6 million in CARES Act funding on July 3rd, and that is to be used for COVID-related expenses. The base distribution amount was $1.5 million, and then there's a supplemental distribution of $138,000 that can be used. It was specifically supposed to be used for townships or cities under the population of 200. Cities also received funding as well, but any cities under the population of 200 did not receive funding. So that funding, if they have had COVID-related expenses, the county would be eligible to allocate some of that funding to the cities, to all the cities, actually. So right now we're receiving some guidance from AMC to determine exactly what's allowable expenditures. One of the really important pieces of this is that grants are allowable to small businesses and nonprofits. The legislature had initially recommended and wanted to have it in the final distribution that 10% was mandated to be given towards economic development, but that was not the case. But we're strongly recommending that. We can do more than 10% as well. So I have been working with the KEDA office and the Small Business Development Center, Paul Nevedin and Joanne Smith. They acted really quickly and put together some preliminary grant applications and scenarios. So I'm going to let them maybe talk a little bit about what that's going to look like. And one of the things that I will be asking for today is that a committee for the grants, a grants committee be formed, and we appoint at least one board member. In addition, we did meet, we had a meeting last week with the small cities. Rainier was able to make it in Big Falls and the city of International Falls. It seems to be the recommendation that instead of each individual city and the county doing their own grant program, that we combine efforts and have one grant program that serves the entire county. But that really needs to be determined by that committee or by a committee or a group of people. So, but Paul and Joanne, I think you guys are both on this call. Do you want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, thanks for giving us the time here, and thanks for your work, Jenny, on this. It came rather quickly, and there was some good models out there that Joanne and I were looking at in terms of what other counties and other states were doing as it relates to the small business grant program. So we kind of took a template from, and as well as the AMC, and it's interesting that the language was changing kind of on the fly about eligibility, but Joanne worked up an application and basically an outline of what the fund would look like. We met, as you mentioned, Jenny, with some of the small cities to talk through about how the best way to, because everybody's so busy, that KEDA and the SBDC, Joanne Smith, our role could be to actually kind of manage the project flow of the grant applications. So we're, I think we've got a good core team, and I think we've got consensus on kind of how we want to move. We did some modifications to the application that still need some final tweaking, but wanted to just get back with the county and look for some direction and or membership on that committee so that we can begin our work in earnest here. And I'll just turn it over to Joanne as well if she has any thoughts on kind of the process.
So what we were thinking is having kind of two different applications, one for small businesses and then one for nonprofits, because there are different kind of uses and eligibility for those things. And again, it has to be a necessary expenditure due to COVID-19, not accounted for in the budget, and incurred during the period of March 1st through the end of this year. So there are some things that are eligible and not eligible, and so we're working on getting kind of a frequently asked questions together for people, and we are willing to help businesses and nonprofits apply for these grants and make sure that they are using them for the eligible uses.
And there is an audit piece to this. So I know, Jenny, we were talking even about having a third party kind of help with some of the initial eligibility requirements to make sure that we're doing it properly, and then at the end all of these will be audited to some degree. So there are some checks and balances. I think we've got regional representation throughout the county here, which is important, and we just need to kind of educate the public as to the application itself, and then what's eligible, and there is some flexibility here. We want to be, I think, as flexible as the language allows. So that's kind of where we're at.
Thanks, Paul and Joanne. One of the key things is that we're getting information and information is changing, but I think it's important that we act on this as quickly as possible. I'd like to form a committee and actually, have a couple meetings before the next board meeting. My plan with the CARES Act funds, we've got the $1.6 million. I also would like to form another committee to determine what the allocations are for those CARES Act funds, and so at the next board meeting, at least we can tentatively allocate that $1.6 million to certain areas. There's some needs over at Public Health and Human Services. Like I said, we're still getting more clarification as to what is actually allowable. I'm in the process right now of running some numbers about what our hard costs have been, and right now it looks like we're at about $50,000 of PPE equipment that we bought, some laptops, technology needs, printers, some other things, all of the shields that were put up, anything that was COVID related is an eligible expense. But then we also have some salaries, people that have spent a substantial amount of time in their position dealing with the COVID. So I'm putting together some payroll numbers to see what that cost is going to look like. And we also have to remember that it's going to go through December 30th, or I'm not sure exactly the date, December 1st or December 30th. But so, we're going to have to plan to use these funds as efficiently and as effectively and where they can make the most impact. So there's two parts to this. I'd like you to appoint a committee person to the grants committee, and then also just a CARES Act committee. And I'm thinking, I would like to have one or two commissioners on that committee.
Well, those are chair appointments, Kevin, so that'd be up to you. Kevin, are you there?
You lost audio.
Yeah. Well, Jenny, at this point, the board doesn't have to act on anything, and Kevin as chair can appoint when he gets back online.
Okay. Does the board feel that this is a good way to handle the process?
Well, I certainly do. I know you put a lot of thought and effort into this, so I'm comfortable. So, all right, myself. Jason, you may have to take over so we can continue.
Okay.
I can see Kevin, but he obviously has
Was that my connection, or was that Ben's connection that got lost?
That was yours, Kevin.
Okay, I wasn't real clear. I was just going to get you the phone and find out.
if your ears are ringing, it's because we were talking about you.
Yeah, that's probably why. So,
It was all good, though.
did the guys act on anything?
We really don't need an action, Kevin, but you're the chair, and Jenny needs those appointments, so that'll be up to you to select.
Okay, how many committees is there, Jen, that you need?
Well, there's going to be a grants committee and then just what I'll call the CARES Act committee.
Okay, so two different ones?
Two different ones.
Okay, I'll take one of them. So probably the CARES Act committee.
Okay.
And do I have a volunteer for the other one? Since Brian's not here, we can always put him on it. So.
All right.
Jason or Wayne, do either of you guys or Wade?
Okay, now give me just a little bit short breakdown again on the functions to separate the two. The CARES Act committee is kind of overseeing the whole thing, and then the other one is breakdown of where it's going.
So the CARES Act committee would oversee all of the CARES Act funds and make recommendations to the board for the allocation of those funds to various, let's say, to the grant and maybe to public health and to some where the funding is going to go and how that funding is going to be spent. And then the grant committee would actually review the grant process, the eligible expenses, and then also be determining who is going to be the recipient of the grant. So it's going to be kind of similar to the KCDA, but in a little, we've got a lot more funding available for it. So.
I could help out in that one, I suppose. Did you want two commissioners on there or one on there?
Just one.
All right, Wayne, I'll put you down. And I'll put Brian down as an alternate.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Wayne.
Great, thank you.
All right. Do you need a motion to approve those appointments?
I don't think we need one because you're the board chair, and so you can just appoint the board member, so we don't need a motion for that.
Okay. Financial business.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I will move on A, B, C, and D.
Okay. Got a motion by Commissioner Schulblum to approve the June summarized vendor payment listing, the June payroll and payroll ACH payment, and to approve the highway plan.
And I'll second it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Wade. Motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I have one thing to ask Penny. There is a bill in here to Motorola. It is for, I can get a hold of Jenny later for $195 for battery. I just wanted to know if that was one battery or multiple batteries or what it was, I guess.
I will check on that. Although let's see, that was courthouse claims. I think I know what it is. Let me just find it here. If we have a second.
You want the number on it?
Okay, that was, I will check on, $1,395. It looks like it went to the, that department is the sheriff's office, so I will double check with Don on that. I believe he probably bought some of those in bulk, but I'll double check.
Okay.
I just wondered if it was one battery or multiples.
Yeah, it's got to be more than one battery. But I will check.
Okay. Okay, I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Pavlik.
Pavlik, aye.
Schulblum.
Aye.
Goy.
Aye.
And I am an aye.
things that we'd like to do is to make sure that those, now that we're paying the airport claims as actual expenditures for the construction portion of that project, we would like to have authorization to pay those on a weekly basis instead of having those come to as courthouse claims, so that they can be, we have to pay the city, and then the city will cut the checks so that those can be paid in a timely manner.
And we can get reconciliation at the end of each year, which, hasn't always occurred either. So, and Jenny put a lot of work into this, so I would gladly move it.
Okay, thank you, Wade. Got a motion by Pavlik.
Second, Mr. Chair.
And got a second by Commissioner Schobel. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Pavlik.
Pavlik, yes.
Schobel.
Aye.
Goy.
Aye.
And I am an aye. Adopt resolution designating depositories and electronic fund transfer authority.
Mr. Chair, I don't know if Tom West is on or not, but one of the things that is a requirement by the state auditors is that we designate who has authority to make electronic fund transfers. And there's actually two parts to it. One is also to designate on the resolution depository. So we've already done that this year, but what we've done is we've taken that same resolution and added that we've included depositories and electronic fund transfers to be approved at the same time. So right now, the person that has authority to make electronic fund transfers is the payroll clerk, as she makes payroll tax deposits electronically. We also have the auditor treasurer and the assistant treasurer oftentimes have to use electronic funds. We have to pay our sales tax with at the Department of Revenue for that. So this is really just noticing on an annual basis who has the authority to make electronic funds transfers and what depositories we are using.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yep.
Are we using this electronic fund transfer now?
Yes, we are. There are actually some payments that can only be made electronically. So.
Move on that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Schobel. Second.
I'll second, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Wade. Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Pavlik.
Aye.
Schobel.
Aye.
Goy.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Human resource business.
Mr. Chair, could we do the one addition for the airport claim, being it's under financial?
Oh, sure. Yep.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
So this is an addition, and the city has reconciled their fund balance as of June 30th. The total negative fund balance was $396,102.48. If we're going to pay our half of that at $198,051.24, and that will clean up that entire fund balance as of June 30th. And as we move forward, there should not ever be a negative fund balance now that the city has to carry for cash flow. So we will also be sharing revenues as those come in, as reimbursements from FAA come in, and any other revenues from the city will be shared that apply to the consumer. And again, this was added to the agenda because I'd like to get this cleared up as soon as possible with the city rather than have it wait till next day.
Wishes of the board?
I'll move the payment, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Commissioner Schobel. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fabry. Discussion. Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Fabry.
Aye.
Schobel.
Aye.
Goy.
Aye.
And I am an aye. Human resource business. Got a notice of hire of part-time correction officer, E91 dispatcher.
Janelle, are you on?
I'm on.
Great. Do you want to just...
Yep, we hired Kane Koochiching as a part-time CO, and he started a week ago last Tuesday. We're just looking for authorization, or just to give you the notice of hire for that one.
Okay. And
next we have to approve employment separation of a social worker, and we also need to authorize filling the vacant position as well.
Well, I just want to comment that social worker we're losing, he's been a valuable employee, so.
Yes, it was a great email to receive. Very hard. I'm glad to hear he will still be, providing service to our community. So.
That's great.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'll move, Mr.
thank you, Commissioner Fabry. There's a motion. Do I have a second?
I move.
Second.
Second by
Go.
Blaine. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Look,
Schobel.
Aye.
Goy.
Aye.
And I'm an
Next, I just recently revised our temporary hire policy. Just with the summer recruiting for some of our temp hires, we just kind of realized that there were some areas that were not as defined, such as how you go about hiring a student and kind of what that program looks like compared to your typical temp hire scenario. So really all I did for that one is I reformatted it and then just added information in there about that when you hire a student for the summer, just so our department directors are more informed and educated on how the temp hire process works. And it was a great project for mine because it really familiarized myself with the process too, getting into the county. So just looking to approve the revised policy.
Good board. Motion by Commissioner Schobel.
second.
Second by Commissioner Fabry. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Fabry?
Aye.
Schobel?
Aye.
Goy? Wayne, you there?
Aye.
Thank you. And I am an aye.
Thank you all.
Let's see. Now I gotta find these two of my agenda.
The issue is veteran service. Maybe we can just turn it over to him.
Yep. Mark, you want to hear?
Yes, sir. Yes, this is, our normal annual grant from the Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs. It's a $10,000 grant for operational enhancement of the CDSO office. And essentially what I'm asking is basically, like we did last year, put me in charge of the grant and able to execute the grant. Well, one, apply for the grant, execute the grant, and close, manage all the documents to close the grant out at the end of the year. This year's $10,000. What we're really targeting is outreach, because obviously we can't do a lot of outreach. The fairs aren't operating. We're not going to assisted living homes, obviously. However, we still have a need to get out there and make contact with our vets. So we're going to, 85% of the funds will be spent on those type efforts, i.e. radio advertising, print materials to be distributed, and other items that will basically heighten our signature as far as the CVSO office, some additional graphics for our office, our van, and some clothing type items. And then the last 15% or the last $1,500 we're going to spend on for office furniture and equipment. Primary need is, we have a state-of-the-art video conferencing system. We want to get some inside of this room to make it easier for the veterans to conduct their teleconferences and their telemedicine meetings and be able to take notes and make it more comfortable for them. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions from us?
I'd be willing to move to have Mark, if there be a so moved then, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Got a motion by Commissioner Pavlik.
Second by Skoy.
Got a second by Commissioner Skoy. I'll call for the vote. Pavlik.
Aye.
Sobel. Did I hear Jason?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And Skoy?
Aye.
And I am an aye. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mark.
We still like you, Mark. We still like you. You did a great job. Thank you.
Okay, what's next on the agenda?
Next on the agenda is the Highway Department business, adopt a resolution for agreement to state transportation fund local bridge replacement. And I believe Trent and Dave are on.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, the first item is a resolution that the Koochiching County enter into a MnDOT grant agreement number 1036457 with the State of Minnesota Department of Transportation. This is a MnDOT grant agreement for State Aid Project 036-598-030. The state requires County Board resolution to enter into a MnDOT grant agreement. State Aid Project 036-598-030 is a bridge replacement project located on County Road 70 over the Cross River. It's about 10 miles south of Little Fork. Bridge will be replaced with 2 lines of 10 by 8 foot box culvert. Grant is for $198,183, and the county portion is $24,039. There's a resolution attached. This project's already been bid, and we just need to finalize the grant agreement with the state.
Okay, we look forward.
I'd be glad to move on that, Mr. Chair. Dave, Trent, they're putting a lot of work into these. We got to get them moving.
Yep. I've got a motion by Commissioner Pavlik.
Second by Skoy.
Second by Commissioner Skoy. Discussion. Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Pavlik.
Aye.
Sobel.
Aye.
Skoy.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. And next is consider MnDOT grade crossing safety
participation in funding a local railroad crossing projects. There are 2 projects that are eligible for 90% funding through MnDOT, Office of Trade and Commercial Vehicle Operations and Railroad Safety and Coordination Unit. Koochiching County would participate 10%. The locations are UT 195 crossing, and that one's by Ericksburg, and County Road 111 crossing 2602000A, and that one's about 4 miles south of Ericksburg. The split location also requests a priority in a year to be funded, which I would do, and I would recommend UT 195 in 2023 and County Road 111 in 2024. Some background, MnDOT, I've already talked about that. We have 2 crossings that are eligible. We talked about those. If we are willing to participate in the projects at the crossings this is for state fiscal year 2023, which means we can start in July of 2022. So it's based on the fiscal year. We need to reply to this agreement that we would fund 10% of the project, and we need to do that by the end of August. In the past, we've had issues with site distance on UT 195 along the railroad tracks and had to clear the vegetation or contact CN to clear the vegetation. Therefore, that's why I recommend that we make the UT 195 our highest priority. These projects usually typically range between $175,000 to $350,000, making the county's portion at each of these projects around $1,500 to $3,500. I think we'll be on the low end of that range, but that's for information. So what I would like is basically be okay to tell them what our priorities are and say that we will participate.
Moving on, here's recommendations.
Okay, I've got a motion by Commissioner Pavlik. Do I have a second?
Second, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Schobel. Any discussion?
And what we see at these locations is arms and signals.
Okay. I'll call for the vote. Pavlik.
Pavlik, aye.
Schobel.
Aye.
Troy.
Aye.
And I am an aye.
Just one final comment, if I could, Mr. Chair, Dave certainly has made me aware of it. We've got increased train traffic, and no one's slowing down, so it's become, I think, more necessary to have those types of equipment there at the crossings, even for the county's liability. Thank you.
I haven't called for the vote yet on that, have I?
No, you have not.
Okay, thank you. Pavlik.
Yeah, we did.
You did?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay, I think Trent's going to handle the rest of these, so Trent, you're up.
Okay, go ahead, Dave.
Good morning, everybody. Can everyone hear me?
Yep, we hear you, Trent.
Okay, I'll take the rest of these. We've got a couple awards and then one request to bid. The first one is award CT 2020-03. This is our crack seal project on CASA 5, crack seal and mastic repair. We bid that on July 6th. We opened bids at 9 a.m. We got a total of 4 bidders, with one of them turning their bid in late, which excluded them. Engineer's estimate was $253,356.19.
we got really good bids with Northwest Asphalt coming in at low bid, $203,225.48. The Highway Department is recommending that we award to Northwest Asphalt for that $203,225.48. Northwest is the contractor that we worked with last year on South 32 Black River Road. They did a good job. We enjoyed working with them.
I'll move before they change their mind.
Yeah, no kidding. Good kidding. You got a motion by Commissioner Pavlik.
Scoy second.
Got a second by Commissioner Skoye. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Oops, I'll call for the vote. Pavlik.
Aye.
Stovall. Skoye.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Yeah, that was a nice bid. Yeah, very nice, very nice. Thank you. The second item that I've got here is award CP 2020-02. This is the Cassav 45 Keenan Drive sidewalk. I put the RBA in last week as a placeholder. We opened bids yesterday at 2 p.m. Hopefully everybody got the information that I sent out last night. We had 3 bidders on the project. Again, good bids. The engineer's estimate was $71,667.92. Low bid was Hawk Construction out of Grand Rapids at $56,983.02. We would recommend awarding to Hawk Construction for that price. Wishes of the board.
Point move.
We've got a motion by Skoye.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Pavlik. Discussion. Another nice bid. Yeah, and just to note, this also includes a very small section of sidewalk in front of the high school as well. Okay. I'll call for the vote. Pavlik.
Aye.
Stovall. Jason, you there?
Aye, Mr. Chair.
And Skoye.
Aye.
And I am an aye. Okay. Okay, third item would be authorize engineer to advertise for bids for SAP 036 643 010 and SAP 036 649 007. This is a Cassav 43 and 49 mill and overlay. It's located in the city of Little Fork. This is a small area up around the Lofgren Park, area that we had milled and overlay with the city water project that they did a couple of years ago. This was always kind of our plan B if the angled parking project in Rainier didn't see construction this year, and it doesn't look like it likely will. So we're requesting to advertise for bids for those 2 projects. The engineer's estimate is currently $147,250.42. Okay, this one, Trent, isn't for Cassav 20, right? No, this is Cassav 43 and Cassav 49. Okay. The 49 was taken off the agenda, right? That's correct. We took Cassav 20 off the agenda. We're currently dealing with state aid on some issues. And the city of Rainier, they have to seek approval from their council tonight on that project. Yeah. All right. Wishes of the board.
I'll move.
Got a motion by Commissioner Pavlik.
Point second.
Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Pavlik.
Aye.
Sobel.
Aye.
Troy.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay, go ahead, Trent.
No, that's all I got.
Okay.
We should congratulate Trent on his successful passing the FE civil exam.
Yep. I was just going to mention that.
I couldn't even read what you had to pass, so it must have been pretty tough.
Good job.
Yeah, it's the first part to getting my PE license. It's a challenging test, and I'm thankful to have it pass me. So.
That's like a 6-hour test, huh?
Yeah.
Was it a time test?
Yes. Yeah, it was time. It's broken up into two sections: a morning section and an afternoon section.
Okay.
Hey, I just want to say one thing. I mean, I can't believe anybody that had been out of school as long as Trent would, because most of the people that take this, they take it in their senior year. And to start studying again and doing all that stuff again, I mean, and I thought I failed it when I took it the first time when I was in school. So, hats off for coming back after 10, 15 years and taking up that challenge.
Yep, that's great.
You'll have gray hair soon, and by the way, we're lucky to have both of you. So we appreciate it as a board.
Thank you.
Have a good one. And let's see. Notice. Oh, okay, yep. I'm pretty much done. So thank you. Lands and forestry business. Nathan.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So what I have this morning is we're looking for the board to pass a resolution. This is kind of the first step. We'd like to hold a tax forfeited land auction this fall if possible. So this resolution is kind of the first step in that process. What this will do then, it'll kind of trigger us to send a list to the DNR. We're required under state statute that the DNR reviews certain parcels that we want to sell before we sell them, and we also will sell or send a listing of parcels within any of the municipal boundaries to those specific cities to give them 60 days comment on the potential sale as well. They can either not respond or they can approve, send their official approval or denial or request that we hold them back from sale for certain reasons, or the cities may also request that we sell them directly to them. So we've had, I think it's been since 2017 since we've had our last tax forfeited land sale, so we kind of wait till we accumulate enough of these smaller city lots and whatnot to justify going through this kind of arduous process of holding a land sale. So what'll happen is if this resolution is passed and after the 60 days is up, I'll come back to the board again. This is kind of a preliminary list, and then I'll come back to the board again in the future with the terms, the draft sale terms and conditions, the appraised prices and whatnot for the board to approve at that time.
I'll move on the resolution, Mr. Chair.
We've got a motion by Commissioner Pavlik to move. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Troy. Any discussion?
Nathan should be getting some gray hair pretty quick. He's weathered us pretty well.
It's in there. It's just that my hair is so light anyway, you can't see it.
Can't see it, yeah. I'll call to the vote. Pavlik.